Shohei Ohtani is pitching like a god, so why are the Dodgers losing? Imagine the greatest scorer in the NBA, someone like Nikola Jokic, drops 45 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists in a playoff game. His team loses by 1. The next game he goes for 38 and 11. Loss again. 5 games in a row, he's the best player on the floor. 5 losses. The basketball world would be on fire. Every analyst, every podcast, every comment section would be screaming. Now take that same paradox, move it to a baseball diamond, and attach the name Shohei Ohtani to it, and you have exactly what has been unfolding in Los Angeles in 2025. 0.97 era, 8 strikeouts, 7 innings pitched, 1 loss. Read that again, sit with it. Pitcher posts a sub-1 era, a number that historically belongs to the most untouchable seasons in the sport, and the team around him cannot win. That is not a slump. That is not bad luck over 2 or 3 games. That is a systemic, recurring pattern that has been building since last season, and it is turning one of the most dominant pitching stretches in modern baseball into a frustration story instead of a celebration. This is the central paradox of the 2025 Los Angeles Dodgers. The best pitcher in baseball right now might be getting robbed by his own team. We are building toward 1,500 subscribers here on Hoop Action TV, and we are almost there. If you have been watching, you already know we break things down differently on this channel. Subscribe right now, hit the like button, drop a comment, and share this video. Every single one of those actions pushes this content in front of someone who would genuinely enjoy it. It takes 3 seconds, and it means everything to this channel. Now, back to Ohtani. Let's build the statistical case properly, because the numbers deserve to be laid out clearly and without exaggeration. They are already extraordinary on their own. Through 6 starts in 2025, Shohei Ohtani carries an ERA of 0.97. His fastball has been recorded touching 100 miles per hour. Splitter and sweeper, 2 of the most difficult pitches in the sport to make consistent contact against, have left opposing hitters completely off balance throughout every single outing. These are not numbers inflated by weak competition or favorable ballparks. These are legitimate, verified, across-the-board dominant performances. His record, a losing one. The Dodgers have won only 2 of his 6 starts this season. That is a 33% win rate for a pitcher with a sub-1 era. If you zoom out further and go back to last season, Los Angeles won just 3 of his last 14 starts. 3 wins in 14 appearances for a pitcher posting numbers that would rank among the best in Cy Young Award history. That is the reality of what has been happening. Codify Baseball captured the sentiment of the entire baseball-watching public with a tweet that spread widely. The Dodgers are wasting masterpieces. That phrase, wasting masterpieces, is not hyperbole. It is a statistical description. You could take Ohtani's name off this pitching line and substitute any Cy Young winner in baseball history, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Jacob deGrom, and the numbers would still be jaw-dropping. Every single one of those pitchers in their best seasons would have been celebrated and winning games with this kind of performance behind them. Yet somehow, with the most expensive roster ever assembled in professional baseball surrounding him, Shohei Ohtani keeps walking off the mound with losses attached to his name. That is not a pitching problem, it is a team problem, and the numbers make that undeniable. To understand what this actually looks like in real time, you need to walk through a specific game, one that encapsulates the entire paradox in 9 innings. The game was against the Houston Astros, one of the most experienced, disciplined lineups in the American League. Shohei Ohtani took the mound and delivered what can only be described as a textbook ace performance. He went 7 full innings. He recorded 8 strikeouts. He surrendered only 2 runs, both of them coming from solo home runs, meaning no runners were on base either time. His ERA barely moved after the outing. His command was sharp, his pitch sequencing was precise, and at no point in those 7 innings did the Astros lineup solve him. The Dodgers' offense, nearly invisible for the entire game. The final score was a loss by 1 run. 2 solo home runs, 2 pitches that left the park when no one was on base were the entire difference in the game. Ohtani was charged with the loss despite a performance that would have been a winning effort behind almost any other lineup in baseball. American media outlets openly began asking the question that had been hovering for weeks. Are the Dodgers wasting him? Talkin' Baseball posted the tweet that spread across every baseball timeline. Shohei Ohtani now has a sub-1 era and the Dodgers are barely winning his starts. Absolutely unreal. The cruel irony of the Houston game is that Ohtani's performance was so good it almost makes the loss harder to process. When a pitcher gives up 5 runs and loses, the equation makes sense. When a pitcher gives up 2 solo runs across 7 innings, strikes out 8 batters, and still loses, that is a different kind of failure. That is a team failing to match the standard its own ace is setting on a weekly basis. 2 solo home runs, that is all it took to beat Shohei Ohtani pitching at an all-time level. 2 solo home runs, now the story shifts, and this is the moment where 2025 took a turn that nobody saw coming. Set the scene, a Dodgers versus Braves game with the kind of momentum that makes baseball genuinely appointment viewing. The crowd is engaged, the stakes are real, and Ohtani, as he has been all season, is operating at a level that makes opposing hitters visibly uncomfortable. Ohtani had just delivered a gap shot that stretched the Braves' defense and sent the stadium into an eruption of noise. The play was over. The ball was in the outfield. And then, without warning, Drake Baldwin and Matt Olson came charging out of the Braves' dugout. This was not a collision on a live play. This was not a standard baseball altercation born from a pitch thrown inside or a slide at second base. This was deliberate movement toward Shohei Ohtani after the play had already ended. Baldwin reached Ohtani first, approaching him with provocative words. Olsen came in seconds later, described by multiple witnesses as completely out of control. Ohtani was shoved to the ground. The Dodgers responded immediately. Freddie Freeman, Tucker, and several other players stormed the field within seconds. Umpires were forced to physically intervene before the situation escalated further. The benches emptied. The stadium was loud in the way stadiums get when something genuinely wrong has just happened in front of a crowd. What made this incident worse, significantly worse, was the nature of it. This was not reactive. Multiple camera angles reviewed by MLB officials showed deliberate, premeditated aggression after the play had ended. The league launched an emergency investigation, reviewing footage from every available angle before issuing its ruling. The result: Baldwin and Olsen were suspended. The Atlanta Braves were hit with financial penalties. MLB issued an official statement describing the actions as intentional aggression that violated the core values of the league. Some analysts covering the incident raised a point worth noting. The Braves dugout had been watching Ohtani dominate their lineup for several innings before the altercation. The Baldwin/Olsen incident was not a calculated plan. It appeared to be a pressure cooker explosion from a team that had been getting systematically taken apart and had no baseball answer for what they were watching. That context does not excuse anything that happened. Suspension was the appropriate consequence. But it adds a layer to the story that matters. Shohei Ohtani was not just beating opposing teams. He was breaking them psychologically to a point where professional athletes lost their composure in front of a national audience. You can lose to Ohtani. What you apparently cannot do is handle it with any dignity. Here's where the analysis gets real, because the losing record in Ohtani's starts is not random. There is a structural explanation, and it begins with the fundamental tension of managing a two-way player. Shohei Ohtani does not hit on days he pitches. That single sentence contains the root of the problem. The Dodgers have rested Ohtani from DH duties on 3 occasions this season specifically to protect his stamina and manage the physical demands of returning to elite pitching after his 2023 Tommy John surgery. That decision is medically defensible and strategically logical when viewed in isolation. But here is what that decision actually does to the lineup. On a standard game day, Ohtani the hitter is one of the most dangerous offensive weapons in baseball. His presence in the lineup forces adjustments from opposing pitchers and changes the way managers construct their defensive strategy. When he is not in the batter's box, when the Dodgers are protecting his arm by keeping him off the hitting roster on start days, the entire offensive weight shifts to Freddie Freeman, Pages, and whoever is filling out the bottom of the order. That is a significant structural disadvantage, and it has shown up repeatedly in the box scores this season. Manager Dave Roberts has acknowledged this directly. He has stated publicly that Ohtani is pitching at a Cy Young level and that the team must do better offensively when he takes the mound. That acknowledgement is honest and appropriate, but acknowledgement does not fix box scores. At Dodgers Nation summarized what fans have been watching all season, Ohtani pitches 7 innings with 8 Ks and gets another loss because the Dodgers' offense disappeared again. The uncomfortable conclusion that multiple analysts have reached is this: by protecting Ohtani the pitcher, the Dodgers are accidentally sabotaging Ohtani the weapon. The decision to rest him from hitting on start days removes one of the most productive offensive forces from the lineup on the exact days when the team needs to score enough runs to protect a pitcher with a sub-1 ERA. Go back to 2024 for context. That season, Ohtani made 14 pitching appearances, threw 47 innings, and posted a 2.87 ERA in his return from surgery. Even then, the paradox was building. The run support was insufficient, the wins were not coming, the team was already under-delivering on its end of the arrangement. In 2025, the workload is heavier, the ERA is lower, the performances are more dominant, and the paradox is even worse. The Dodgers built arguably the most expensive roster in baseball history. On Ohtani's start days, they have sometimes hit like a little league team. That contrast between the financial investment in that lineup and the offensive output during his outings is the defining tension of the Dodgers' 2025 season so far. Beyond the team failures and the Braves incident, there's a dimension of this story that deserves to be discussed on its own terms, because what Shohei Ohtani is doing on the mound in 2025 is genuinely different from what he was doing before his surgery. He is no longer simply a power pitcher relying on elite velocity. He has evolved into a true ace in the full intellectual sense of that term. His fastball still touches 100 miles per hour. That has not diminished. But what has changed is everything that surrounds it. Ohtani is now controlling games through rhythm and sequencing, the ability to establish a pattern of pitches across multiple at-bats so that hitters begin anticipating one thing and receive another. He's using pitch tunneling, a technique where different pitches are released along an identical trajectory before separating late, making them nearly impossible to distinguish until the ball is already past the decision point. His splitter and sweeper, which were already effective weapons, are no longer just strikeout pitches. They have become game management tools, pitches he deploys strategically based on count, game situation, and what the data tells him about individual hitters' tendencies. He He's escaping high-pressure situations not by overpowering his way out, but by outthinking hitters at the moment of maximum stress. The Atlanta Braves were not just losing runs in that game before the altercation occurred. Their dugout was watching a pitcher dismantle their lineup with a level of command and deception that made productive contact feel impossible. That sustained frustration, that experience of having no clear answer to what Ohtani was doing, was visible before it became physical. He is not just throwing harder than anyone, he is outthinking hitters. That is a different, scarier level of Shohei Ohtani, and it represents a maturation as a pitcher that goes beyond the raw athleticism that made him famous in the first place. The forward-looking question for the Los Angeles Dodgers is straightforward to ask and difficult to answer. Can they fix the offensive problem before Ohtani's masterpieces become a tragic footnote in the 2025 season? The organizational logic behind their current approach is not complicated. The Dodgers are managing Shohei Ohtani with October in mind. They are rationing his arm, protecting his stamina, and making decisions about his hitting schedule based on what they believe will produce the best version of him when the postseason begins. That is a defensible approach for a team built to win a championship. But there is a cost to that approach, and it is accumulating visibly. A losing record in starts by a pitcher with a sub-1 ERA is a narrative problem, but it is also a real baseball problem. It means games that should be wins are becoming losses. It means a potential Cy Young Award case is being complicated by a win-loss record that does not reflect what actually happened on the mound. And it means that the pressure on the offense to perform on Ohtani's start days is not decreasing. It is increasing with every outstanding outing he delivers. If the offense does not improve on his start days, the Cy Young Award conversation, which Ohtani should be winning based purely on ERA, becomes genuinely complicated by a record that no voter can fully ignore. The Braves incident will have lasting psychological consequences for both franchises. Baldwin and Olsen returned from suspension having drawn national attention for the wrong reasons. The Dodgers return with a clear message sent to the rest of the league about how they respond when Ohtani is targeted. And Ohtani himself, who after the game said only that he wants to focus on baseball and help his team win, responded to one of the most physically hostile moments of his career with complete and total composure. That composure is not incidental. It is a documented, consistent feature of how Shohei Ohtani operates. He does not adjust his approach based on external chaos. He does not let the noise, the losing record, the offense's failures, the physical confrontation with Braves players alter what he does between the lines. Post-game, post-incident, post-loss, his answer is always the same: focus on the next start, do the work, help the team win. In a season full of paradoxes, that calmness in the middle of the storm might be the most impressive thing about him. The real question the 2025 season will ultimately answer: can the Dodgers build their offense to match the standard their pitcher is already setting? Or does Shohei Ohtani keep walking off the mound with a sub-1 ERA and a loss attached to his name? Because right now the most dominant pitching stretch in modern baseball is happening in Los Angeles, and almost nobody in that clubhouse is scoring enough runs to prove it. Shohei Ohtani has a 0.97 ERA. The Dodgers have barely won his starts, and somehow he is still the calmest person in the building. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, if you found yourself checking those stats twice because they seem too absurd to be real, then you already know the answer to what we should do next. Drop a comment below with your honest take. Do you think the Dodgers fix their offense before the postseason, or does Ohtani keep getting robbed of wins he fully deserves? Every comment on this video tells the algorithm this content is worth pushing further, and this channel is built on exactly these kinds of conversations. We are approaching 1,500 subscribers on Hoop Action TV, and every share of this video puts us closer. If someone in your circle follows baseball or just appreciates genuine sports analysis, send this to them directly. If you enjoy real sports breakdowns like this one, you will like what is coming next on this channel. Subscribe, like, share, comment your take, and we will see you in the next one.